And hey, it's Evan Kirstel here on a fabulous Friday. And I'm here with another tremendous guest, Jillian with a J. Hey, Jillian Kaplan, how are you?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on live with me. And you never know what can go wrong with live. So let's keep it exciting here, or maybe not exciting. But we've never actually met in person, the beauty of the pandemic, sadly, but we're both in the Boston area, and you are more or less near Dell EMC headquarters here in the Boston area.
Yep. I live right around our East Coast headquarters, I'll call it, in Hopkinton. Yep.
Yeah, Hopkinton, a well-known major innovation and business hub for Dell EMC. Before we dive in, how's Michael Dell? Is he doing well through the pandemic? Can I ask?
I believe so. He says he flies a lot of Zoom airlines. That's what he tells
Okay.
us.
It's funny, we're in the same boat. So I don't really have a strong specific agenda for today, but I wanted to give our viewers and listeners a bit of a peek behind the curtain at Dell EMC, in particular your team, which is focused on the future of telecom, in particular 5G networking. But before we go into your team, tell us a little bit about yourself. I noticed you went to a little known school called RPI in upstate New York. Little known, actually, it's like the MIT of the East Coast. So tell us about your journey in tech through there and on to Verizon and the last number of years at Dell EMC.
Sure. So, yeah, I did my undergrad at RPI. I did a graduate degree at WPI. So I've always been heavily focused in technology. I love technology. I'm fascinated by it. It's a passion of mine. When I was a kid, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and then I took AP Bio, and they told me I was going to have to dissect a pig, and I promptly dropped out my senior year. I was like, I'm not doing that. So science has always interested me. I have two parents who my mother is a materials and chemist,
Wow.
and my father was an engineer. So I've always kind of grown up with STEM parents, and it's always interested me. So I started my first job out of RPI at Verizon. I've been in telecom my entire career. So I was a network engineer there. I worked on like an asset management system we have and converting old copper equipment into our newer fiber equipment. I started in 2004 when we launched FiOS. So it was a really exciting time because we were changing a network over then, similar to what we're doing wireless now from 4G to 5G. I went on to do a product management role there for a software platform that we had. I've done marketing operations and sales enablement. And then almost 3 years ago now, I started at Dell Technologies in the telecom product marketing group. So here I am.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining, and we'll dive into a little bit more about what you do at Dell. You're one of my favorite folks to follow on LinkedIn and Twitter because you're so creative about the content you create. It's all about infotainment as well as education. You're on TikTok. You're the only telecom TikToker that I've seen. Tell us more about your interest in social and digital and marketing and kind of education. I also think you teach courses, if I recall correctly, at Pluralsight. So how did your interest in digital and content creation kind of come together?
Yeah, so I've always been fascinated in like consumer behavior and what makes people pay attention. And obviously, for a long time, social's been an extremely important piece of marketing, right? But in the past over 18 months now, it's become the piece of marketing without trade shows, without in person events, without a lot of customer meetings. Of course, some still happen, but not as many as used to. How do we get the information out? And it's through media and social media. And I think social media can be tough because I know that people have bad connotations with social media, and there are certainly not great stuff out there, but I aim to make my platform fun, entertaining, and informative, right? So I always say people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So I try to get people to know, like, and trust me, right, with what I'm sharing. And because social and media is so incredibly noisy, I want to stop their scroll. I want to say, like, hey, look at what we're doing. And oh, I'm showing you in an innovative way what we're doing. So I do TikToks, like you said, 15, 30 seconds about, I did Open RAN acronyms. My first one was on the transition from 4G to LTE to 5G. And it came about because an executive challenged me. He's like, "You think you could TikTok about," because TikTok was hot at the beginning of the pandemic. "I think you could talk about tech." I'm like, "I bet you I can," and it kind of caught on. And so it really helps people quickly, first of all, quickly understand things. Right? I went through RAN acronyms on one, but also like stop and pay attention to what we're doing, because how many times do you scroll through LinkedIn and see a TikTok? Not very much, right? So it's been really good, and I love the creativity of it. Like, I love the brainstorming of it. It takes me longer to brush my hair than it takes to shoot the TikTok. I say that to people all the time. They're like, "Doesn't that take you all day?" I'm like, "No, it's literally probably 5 minutes. I'm done." And it's easy, and it's free.
I love it. And, telecom for too long has been about 5 and 6 letter acronyms and less about like customers and education and kind of making an impact. Another thing telecom has traditionally been about is men. It's a bit of an old boys club traditionally, but you're a real advocate for not just women in telecom and tech, but I see you calling out and supporting other women in the tech industry, including many at Dell. You have a pretty diverse team. Tell us about your, personal interest in nurturing, women in technology.
Yeah. At Dell, we have some really lofty goals for 2030 to have a 50% women workforce. And I believe
Wow.
it's 40% women in leadership roles in 9 years, right? Which is really exciting. And I feel as though my personal opinion is that diversity and inclusion is not just the job of the people who are assigned to do diversity and inclusion. If diversity and inclusion is going to happen at a company, it's the entire workforce's job. And so I feel as though I'm just doing my part. I've published two guides for women. One was called The Unwritten Rules for Women in Tech, published a few months ago. And then 2 days ago, I just published what we call Tip from the Top, which was a compilation of tips from 20. It ended up being it was supposed to be 20, but ended up being 21 leaders in the field, both women and allies, to help give their best tips. It's like sitting down with 20 amazing leaders in 20 pages. Like, it's really awesome. So I just kind of, it's a passion of mine. The guides are ungated and totally free. I just believe that we can all do better, and that if we create an abundance mindset where we know that there's enough to go around and we are comfortable sharing our best practices, it can only do good. So really that's all it is like, I'm inspired by Dell's goals. And I'm inspired to take action, but it's just a passion of mine, and I feel really supported here doing that, which is a great feeling.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so good to hear. Let's talk a little bit about your team, your group. Dell's obviously a vast organization, servers, storage, and networking, and cloud, and everything in between. But the telecom group, if you will, I'm not sure if that's what you call it, is a bit of a best kept secret in many ways. I remember being at Dell World back when it was in Austin. This is a long time ago, and you had the CEO of AT&T up on stage with Michael Dell talking about, your amazing server and storage technology built specifically for telecom. And that has only continued onwards and upwards within Dell over these many years. So tell us more about your team and your mission.
Yeah, that's true. It is a great kept secret, and it's becoming less secret because we're growing leaps and bounds in the telecom space, and we are specifically focused on helping telecoms worldwide build out their 5G networks through a variety of different solutions. And to your point, like, we have tons of amazing hardware, and some of it is purpose built for telecom, which is extremely important. We have two new servers, the XR11, the XR12, that are purpose built for harsh edge environments. But on top of that, we need to build solutions for 5G. The previous generations of G were all about end users. Okay, well, how many people do you want on your network, right? Let's give you enough server and storage and all the things to power up you and I, right? And 1,000 more people or whoever they needed. But 5G is all about the enterprise and the enterprise use cases, things like telehealth, autonomous vehicles, connected stadiums when you talk about private mobility, manufacturing, right? Retail. There's so many different use cases for 5G that we are working with these telecoms. It's really a partnership, to be honest, to make sure that we are building the correct solutions so that they can help that we can help them monetize and they can help the enterprise reach their goals. And to your point, we've been in telecom a while, but this is like a big change in what we're doing, from product to really building these amazing solutions. And what I think is so cool about it is that longer than we've been in the telecom space in a big way, we know enterprise. Dell has been in enterprise a very long time. We know the enterprise space. And because of that, we can create solutions to answer the questions, if you will, that the enterprise has on how they're going to solve for their challenges. And we can do that with the help of the telecoms and their 5G networks.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. When I was coming up in the telecom space, which by the way mostly involved paging and pots and fax machines, but telecom, at least the network, was like this black box. No one really looked what was inside the black box. Stuff went in, stuff came out, and it was all a bit of black magic. And sadly, that mentality stayed with us for quite a few decades. But now 5G and related standards, it's all about open, right? It's open source, it's open standards, it's open APIs and interfaces, it's flexible design. And it seems like you are quite in a good position to ride or drive that wave of openness, from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we are very well connected, right? We have a well connected sales force. We have many, many different partners worldwide to build these custom solutions for exactly what our customers need, and create that open standard for them to be able to do what they need to accomplish their goals with their networks, right? And 5G is like the ultimate goal, if you will, but we have so many solutions that you need, like I said, RAN and edge, and core solutions that you need to build in order to build that entire network out. So yes, and we actually have four, call them co-innovation centers, that we incubate ideas with our customers. So everything from a physical lab that we're building, called the Open Telecom Ecosystem Lab, or OTEL, in Austin, that we're building out now. We have solutions co-creation services, which really helps take our current solutions and mold them into something that would create the outcome the customer is looking for. We have TCEC, which focuses on like really deep engineering issues and understanding what we need to do in order to solve the problems. And then we have a strategic alliances group, which focuses on the open partnerships that we just talked about. So we're really ready, I guess, to help our customers solve these challenges and make sure they have what they need.
And your customers are everyone up and down the whole value chain, from OEMs to developers to service providers, which, that's an interesting take on your go-to-market. And service providers need new and compelling applications and use cases and services to offer. And the old way of doing things, being a dumb pipe provider, just doesn't cut it anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got to innovate. There's a workforce transformation that's happening. Same thing, like I talked about, moving from copper to fiber. When, your engineers know how to engineer fiber, whether it's in a central office or outside plant, and you have to redo everything, really, right? And you have to retrain your workforce. And that's happening too, because 5G is a whole new infrastructure. So it's really exciting to watch that change as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the edge is so exciting. We could do a whole nother episode just on edge computing. I remember seeing a Dell server installed at a vineyard in Massachusetts. Yes, we do have wine here. And it was measuring temperature and humidity levels and wind. And there were all kinds of sensors going back to this edge server, which was then going back to a main monitoring application. So many really compelling use cases. And, over the course of the next few weeks and months, I'd love to dive deeper into these different use cases. In the meantime, you're working from home. How's
Yes.
the work from home life balance thing working for you?
It's good. I mean, Dell's been pretty. I'd say they've been at the forefront of work from anywhere for a long time, even pre-pandemic. Right? It's always been accepted here. We build remote work solutions, and we know they work. So why not use them? Right? They've always been great with that sort of flexibility and what works for people. So when I used to go into the office a couple times a week, and when we were told like, okay, you're going home full time, I literally all I had to do was pick up my laptop and go home because I was already set up to do it because we build these solutions, which is great.
Yeah, it's start talk about best practices. I mean, I think you
Yeah, we
guys,
were ready.
you were ready.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think you've been really powering this new world, the new normal we find ourselves in, both from the devices. I mean, I have a Dell laptop here to the data center and beyond, and now 5G. So super exciting. Really, thanks for taking the time on a Friday to chat. Follow obviously all the great social media handles at Dell, but at Dell EMC in particular for 5G updates, and at Jillian Kaplan, whose advice is in the post, handle is in the post here, and look forward to bringing in some additional experts over time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, and have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.
Bye.